Hi guys, and welcome back to Love English. I'm Leila, and today I've got a nice simple lesson for you. I say it's simple because I'm looking just at two words that you guys frequently get confused. Those words are lend and borrow. Lend and borrow are very similar words in that their meaning is referring to the same thing. The temporary exchange of something, of an item. Before we get started and I explain the difference between lend and borrow, do make sure you click that subscribe button below and of course the notifications bell until it looks like this, so that you can be one of the first to watch, comment and receive feedback on your English from Sabrah and me. Now at the end of the lesson, you can go down to the comments section below. There I have put at the top of the comments bar some questions, some gap fills looking at when to use lend and borrow. So, two pieces of homework for you today, the gap fill and some questions and sentences that you create yourself with lend and borrow. And of course, Sabrah and I always do correct your English. So you've kind of got your own personal teacher for free. Right guys, on with the lesson, lend and borrow. First of all, let's start with the meaning. Quite simply, lend is to give and borrow is to take. Now, when we do lend something to another person, we expect to get it back. It is for a temporary period of time. Likewise, when we borrow something from another person, we only want it for a short temporary period of time. So there's certain things that you can't borrow. You wouldn't say, "Can I borrow your sandwich?" Because really, you can't give that back. The kinds of things we would talk about in this situation is a pen, money, someone's car, your computer. So, to lend, in American English, they often say loan. It has the same meaning, to give someone something for a short period of time. So, I lent him my car, or I loaned him my car. Pay attention there. If you hadn't already realised, lend is an irregular verb. Lend, lent, lent. Whereas borrow, to take, is a regular verb. So it ends in ed. I borrowed his car. Now when you borrow something, it means you owe it back. You have to give the item back. It does not belong to you. Now the structure of these sentences is something that can frequently get confused, and depending on where you place your object pronouns, you may need to use a preposition. So for example, Sabrah lent me £10. Sabrah, subject, lent, the verb, me, the object pronoun, and £10. This would be the secondary object. So you would have an object pronoun, the person that is taking the item, that is borrowing the item. Subject, verb, object pronoun, and object. Now you could also switch this around and it kind of just changes the emphasis of the sentence, what you are more focused on. So you could say, Sabrah lent £10 to me. Sabrah lent £10 to me. Now, be careful because when we have the object pronoun at the end of the sentence coming after the item, the object that was lent, then you need a preposition, and this goes for both borrow and lend. In the case of lend, remember it means give, and the preposition we have with give is to. So, Sabrah lent £10 to me. Whereas if the object pronoun doesn't come at the end, you don't need the preposition. Sabrah lent me £10. Now let's look at the structure of borrow. I borrowed £10 from Sabrah. So in this case, Sabrah is going to be the object pronoun, the name Sabrah. It's who I borrowed it from. So you do need the preposition from here to identify where the item came from and who you owe that item back to. I borrowed £10 from Sabrah. Let's look at some more examples. I borrowed a jumper from Sabrah. I borrowed a jumper from Sabrah. Or I borrowed Sabrah's jumper. I borrowed Sabrah's jumper. There you can see I have got a possessive S to show that it belongs to Sabrah. Of course, if we were to use an object pronoun, I borrowed her jumper, it needs to be a possessive pronoun, a possessive adjective in this case. So those common errors that you guys do make is obviously confusing the meaning between lend and borrow, and as well the structure. So for example, he borrowed me his pen. He borrowed me his pen. Or getting those prepositions confused. He lent it from me. He lent it from me. So remember those prepositions so you don't get them confused. Give to, lend to. Take from, borrow from. Let's just have a look and go through a few more examples to make sure the meaning is really clarified as well as the structure. I borrowed a cup from him. I borrowed a cup from him. He lent me his cup. He lent me his cup. He lent his cup to me. Can you lend me a pen? Can you lend me a pen? He lent his pen to me. I borrowed a pen from him. I borrowed his pen. So, comment below. Check out that little mini quiz in the comments section, and of course write some sentences about yourself as well. Have you ever lent anything to someone and not got it back? Have you been the person to borrow something from someone and not give it back? Lend and borrow, two words that you guys will frequently get confused, but hopefully now I have clarified the difference in meaning and as well the structure you need to use. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to reading your comments in the section below. And of course, don't forget to like this lesson, share it with your friends who are learning English. And if you haven't already, click that subscribe button and the notifications bell so you'll be one of the first to receive updates of our newest lessons. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.